I'm Amy Wilson, and this is a Mobility Madness video focusing on the calves. Tight calves can lead to the onset of plantar fasciitis, so it's really important to focus on keeping them loose. They all come down, all the calf muscles come down and wrap around the bottoms of the foot in different directions, and when they get knotted up in the meat of the muscle, you feel the pain in the bottoms of your feet, oftentimes in like little BBs and tight fascia. Mostly when you step out of bed in the morning, first thing, you feel that breaking apart. It's really painful. That is the start of plantar fasciitis, but you can control it yourself if you mitigate it early and start mobilizing your calves. So the first thing we're gonna do is work the fascia. This is the connective tissue in your body, and we have to break it up. It can't be stretched. So we're gonna do that in two different ways, and this gets the circulation going, and that's the best way to start. So you wanna pad your knees, either with blankets or if you have beach towels, they work well. You can even roll up the edges of your yoga mat and kneel on that. So you come to your knees and your feet are flat. I am wearing tennis shoes. You can do this without shoes, but you don't want your toes flexed. You want your feet flat. And you make a thin roll, either with a blanket or a beach towel. And you're gonna tuck this directly behind your knees. Tuck it in tight, the feet are flat, and on an exhale, you're just gonna sit back. So we're smashing the tissue. If you can't sit all the way, then you can have yoga blocks to support you. If you can keep maybe a little bit of weight forward. But the goal is to relax down on top of this material, allowing the fascia to break up. On an inhale, you're gonna come forward and just scoot your blanket roll to the middle of your leg. Give yourself a breath. And then on an exhale, you're sitting back down. And just breathe, send your exhales to all the really tight, sticky places. Sitting forward again and scooting the blanket down to just above the ankles now. Sit back on an exhale. You might have to scoot your feet a little closer together for this last one. All right, on an inhale, come forward. You're taking your blanket out and just bend the knees, maybe come to tabletop. Just roll the ankles. Okay, next is round two. A way to manipulate the fascia in the calves is with a foam roller. So you're just gonna sit on your butt on the floor and bring the roller up to just below the knees. So you're gonna have to sit back on your hands, like the weight is in your hands, while you let the meat of the muscle rest on top of the foam roller. So you have to give it a few minutes because you might think that you're relaxed, but really these muscles are still tight, and you'll feel the bloop. I call it the bloop. That's what we're waiting for that muscle to be like bloop and just chill and stop that muscle reflex. So we're just waiting here and breathing and trying to let our legs be completely passive. And eventually you're gonna feel yourself sink in, like your leg will sink down on top of the block. And that's what we're waiting for. When that happens, I'm gonna scoot back just so you can see my feet. Just start to slowly windshield wipe the feet back and forth. You're gonna roll over the calves. Just scoot the roller a little bit lower on the leg and do the same thing. We're waiting for the muscle to relax over the roller and then start moving the feet side to side. And then one more time, move it to just above the ankle. You can even lean forward, put your weight on top of your legs to smash it down a little deeper. When you feel it soften a little, that's when we start moving side to side. There are going to be places that will light you up, and those are the places where you need to hang out for a little while. They need your attention for a reason. That's where the inflammation is, and you can break it up and get it out of there. Okay, so now we're going to move to manual manipulation of the calves. So the next best thing you can do is manipulation of the muscle. So we're actually going to do some self-massage of the muscle. So you want the calves to kind of be relaxed. You want them dead weight, so where it's like floppy. That's really the only good word that I can use. And you're trying to get as close to the bones as you can with your hands, and just running your pressure up the leg. You always want to pull leg pressure up. So if that hurts your hands, you can make fists and just put your fists as close to the bones as you can and pull up. Just do it a couple times, and just in running it up your leg, you'll feel those knots that need attention. Do both sides. The less you can use your fingers, the better. The more you can make your arms like a solid unit, the less strain you're going to put on your hands. Okay, so then you're just going to take fists, and I know it looks weird, but you're just going to come up underneath, and you're just going to like tap your fists on your loose legs all the way up and down. And you're going to find, again, the knots that need attention. Now, you're going to go into those knots. You're going to find them with your hands, with your pincher grip, and you're going to find those knots and just sink in slow. And it doesn't have to be really hard, just enough pressure to where you feel the muscle soften, and then move down. Move to the next little knot. So I'm kind of pinching and pulling down away from the leg. So I pinch and then pull down, and then I'm just moving all the way down the leg. Make sure you do both sides. If you don't like to do one hand, you can make fists and push together and pull down. Okay, so you're probably feeling like the blood is flowing a little bit differently, because it is. And so now you want to get more targeted with your stretches. With your massaging. So I like to use my knee. I don't like to use my hands very much, obviously, because they're overworked already. So I try to use other body parts or other tools to help me. So I like to just kind of lean back and put the meat of the calf rest it on the opposite knee. You kind of find those knots. My knees are bony, so I can stick the bony part right in the meat of the opposite muscle and just start rotating the leg around. And when you find like one of the spots that light you up, that's where you need to hang out and just breathe. And don't be afraid to move around. And work your way up and down the opposite leg. It's going to be probably a little bit more intense the lower in the leg you go. You can also use a ball, a lacrosse ball for this. Just lay your leg flat on the ground on top of the ball and just roll. I think it's kind of hard to keep track of the ball because it just keeps rolling around. But this is the next best thing. Use your knee, move around, find the spots, and hang out there. If you find a spot that like you can barely stay on because it's so tight, that really needs your attention. So if you have to, get a ball. Okay, so we smashed the tissue, which breaks up the fascia, which increases circulation and helps flush out inflammation. That was the first thing. The second thing is the self-massage, the breaking and loosening of the muscles. So now that we've got things loosened and everything is flowing, now we're gonna stretch the muscles, and that lengthens the muscles. Okay, so the best calf stretches are as follows. So downward facing dog yoga pose is probably one of the best ways to stretch the calves. You just come basically to like an upside down pyramid, and with one leg at a time, you plant your foot and you're relaxing one leg at a time. So the leg, with the extended leg, pushing the heel towards the floor, that's the foot that's getting the stretch. And then you're just gonna switch. So plant and relax the other leg. And keep switching back and forth. So downward facing dog is option one. You can have blocks, yoga blocks, or stairs. If you have a staircase in your house, that way you can hold onto a banister and do it. You can also use plates, like barbell plates, stack them up high. You just want to get the toes up and lean in. So I'm really feeling it all the way down, the extended calf. Make sure you even it out both sides. You can do that as many times as you need. finally, you want to work the outsides of the shins. So your peroneus longus comes down here. It also wraps around the foot, and you know, you want to make sure that your ankle mobility is good. So the best thing here is to just lay on your back and reach for your toes and just hug them down. So we're not cranking ourselves into any weird position. You're just holding the feet enough to where you feel a stretch in the front of the shin and ankle. And I think it feels good to rock side to side here. You don't have to, but it massages the spine out and it just gives you stretches in other places. When you're ready, come back to center, roll the ankles a few times, and then switch in the opposite way. Let go of the feet, roll the ankles. And that is my quick little calf mobility video. Staying hydrated is also very important. If you are dehydrated, you're gonna feel more pain in the muscle and they're going to seize up on you. So if you do this a couple of times a week, I guarantee you're gonna start to notice an increase in not only your ankle mobility, but probably a decrease in knee pain. And hopefully you nick those plantar fasciitis symptoms. Thank you for your support.